Live, we are live. We are live on Talk Talk Live. Let me get back to the full cam. How are you? Yes, I'm just a bit formal today. Had to head down to a viewing today for one of my close buddies. His mother had died today, so I send my condolences out to the Salmon family, a quite prominent family within the Caribbean community here in Toronto, within the Toronto community. Period. It was for I believe Flora Salmon. She was awarded the Order of Canada and also Order of Ontario. And again, I hope she rests in peace. And I wish my condolences. I send my condolences to the Salmon family, who are huge within the Toronto community, and I wish them well on this terrible time within their lives and their families' lives. So I hope they can get through it with our prayers, and hope you can send prayers on to them as well. Yes, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live here, live on IG and YouTube. We are back. We are live. We are live. We are live. We have returned. I have returned from my weekend and Monday, and I hope you had a great weekend. I did. I certainly did. Did a few outings here and there. Well, actually, Sunday was day of cleanup. Saturday was definitely the outing day. Anyways, even though it did rain, I did have a good time. Shout out to all those people who showed up to Soak a Brainwash. That was really, 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 really good. A nice little all-inclusive that I usually like quite simply. And yeah, that was a great weekend altogether. Also went to the Jays game on Friday, which was quite nice as well. But we are back and we are live. We are going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about a lady who's in the news right now. She's in the relative news anyway. She was at the ESPYs last week, as she usually is, and her name is Lolo Jones. Lolo Jones is a track star, sports athlete. Let's look her up here as we get into the browser here on YouTube. There we go, and there she is. She's on the right, but I'm going to show you a bit more of a more flattering picture of Lolo Jones, who I think is absolutely gorgeous. To be fair and frank, Lolo Jones, American bobsledder. But she was a track star. There she is. And let's get some images here, and let's get her in her best light. As we see, oh yes, there she is. That's a good one. But as you can see, she is quite the figure, guys. I mean, she is, let me see. Let me get this here. And open in a new tab. There we go. Bang, 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 bang. There she is. Let's spread it out there. And yeah, get your minds out the gutter there. Yes, indeed. That's Lolo Jones right here. Let's get a better picture of her as well. Lolo is I wouldn't say a superstar athlete. She's a great athlete. An athlete of great renown. A track athlete of. Let me just. There are a few more flattering pictures here. That's a lovely one. That's a really nice one. A few others here, but anyways, I'll focus on this one here. Yes, that's a nice one. Just again, she has a very, very, very fantastic physique. She has very Model-esque features. She is quite the sight to behold. Definitely an 8 in most estimations, and yeah, stunning girl. But Lolo is a bit different. Lolo is a bit of the, she is I wouldn't say a strange one. I think she has, she's a religious one. Let's say that. She is very much a religious one. She is waiting for a man to come into her life. Let's get another picture of her right here. One more will do. This one, let's get her in an evening gown of some kind. There we go. That's a lovely one. That's where she usually wears in the ESPYs there. There we go. That's a bit better. Let's get. There we go. That's nice. Beautiful, beautiful girl, as you can see. Lovely, gorgeous lady, and yeah, definitely one to behold. To be fair, but again, she believes she wants to wait until marriage, until she can find the right mate, in which she will to find the right man to which she would marry, and then give him the gift that is her virginity. And this is carried on all her life, but now she's 40, as already has been alluded to within the title of the show, and she's still a virgin. and she's still waiting for the right man to come along. However, with Madam Jones, it was a case, it was something that really struck me, and we're going to get to the video that actually inspired my show tonight. And she really was a person who, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't be in the way in the space that she is. I mean, she's got the looks, she's got the body, she's got the physique, she's got everything you can look for. She's fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive to the most part. She has youth, fertility, beauty on her side for the most part, and you'd think that everything would come easy to her. But I think because of her choices, she made life hard on herself. She took she made in terms of making a man wait for her to select a certain gentleman. I mean, that's all well and good. She's entitled to her opinion. She's entitled to having such views for a certain time. I mean, what I mean by saying that is, this lady, yes, can hold on to the fact that, she doesn't want to have sex, she doesn't want to have that man. She can have these religious views for a certain time. But once you start reaching the age of making a baby, and once you start realizing that it may be too dangerous to have a baby at a certain time, then you have to start making decisions. Then you got to start realizing that that sort of vow of celibacy may have to be discarded, unfortunately, because men of high value aren't. Let's get the premise out there of the show. Men of high value, the ones that she wants, aren't going to wait for her to get married, and those who do are in the distinct minority in terms of devout, religious, rich men. Because, again, she wouldn't be holding out her virginity unless she finds the right man, and that right man has to be a provider and protector, to be fair. And she hasn't been able to find that man. And again, she has that look that, it could be black, it could be white, judging from her social media page and how, from her interactions. I mean, you can go either way. Let's face fact. She can go either way. I mean, I have cousins of this ilk, and again, they could go either way. They went either way as well. They could either go white, they can go black, they can go any race or color. But again, who are we to judge in that capacity? Now, she's 40 years old. Now, she realizes that things are getting difficult in terms of finding a man, having a baby, having a family to which she wants. Now, she may not realize that the standards that she has may be a tad bit high. But let's get into the video, and then we can flesh this out even further. I have a video here from Mediocre Tutorial Reviews. Subscribe, please, to this gentleman. He's doing wonderful work in these YouTube streets, especially in the black manosphere, especially when it comes to red pill, in terms of red pill, I would say red pill adjacent material. And we're going to get into this issue about Madame Lolo Jones and how she's conflicted and how it has seriously affected her emotional well-being to be a virgin at this stage in her life. Let's go. Oh.
Battery 100%.
There's a lot of stress on me right now. I know it's all you.
Copyright. In my initial appointment, they found an ovarian cyst the size of a tennis ball. This is Lolo Jones, by the way.
So, let's start there. In going after, because again, she's 40 years old, she's going through IVF therapy. Let's just rewind that back one more time, because you may not have heard of it. Let's just play it back once more, and so you can.
I really want to hang. I've waited for my husband for so many years, and I'm just getting mad, and I'm about to turn 40. There's a lot of stress on me right now. I know.
So you can see the stress that she put herself under by having these views, by having the idea that she is going to wait until until her Prince Charming arrives to start having sex, number one, and number two, to have a family. So is 40 now. Real, as has been the history of so many of my friends. I mean, you all have, I'm sure, encountered have a friend who's entered, well, if you're of a certain age, entered into her mid to late 30s, early 40s, and decided, to hell with it, she's going to go with it alone. I have a few friends who've done that. And it is tough. It is tough to find that the fact that the man, your Prince Charming, isn't coming. Marriage isn't at the door, especially when it comes to, well, not only your eligibility, but also your viewpoints and your standards and your requirements for a man as well. Maybe getting in the way. Maybe a hindrance rather than a help. And this is what's happened with Lolo Jones. Lolo Jones, as successful and as beautiful and as great of a mother and wife as she could be, the fact of the matter is her standards were too high. She had certain requirements that she wanted of her men that no man, most men, if not no man, could meet. And if those men did want to meet it, well, they expect something in exchange. And that, for the most part, was, to put it bluntly, to put it less eloquently, a test drive before buying the car. And and she wasn't providing it. So therefore, I really think that no man was going to take such a deal, especially a high-value man. A high-value man isn't going to take such a deal, especially in this day and age. If you're going to procure such a man, he's not going to wait so long unless you find a religious man, and those are few, again, and far between, because the secular world is that much bigger and that much more prevalent these days. So finding a religious man who will wait for marriage, especially at the age of 40, is tough work, especially the one that she wants and desires. So she's had to go it alone at this stage. So she is gone through IVF therapy and freezing her eggs. But that's the stage we're at now. Let's go. But this is, again, 2022. So we're dating ourselves a bit. But again, the example and the show is nonetheless poignant for this topic, even though it is a bit dated. Let's go.
Copyright. In my initial appointment, they found an ovarian cyst the size of a tennis ball. This is Lolo Jones, by the way.
So, as I was saying, in going through this IVF therapy, they find an ovarian cyst. So, there's a threat of cancer around her, within her, within the health checks that she's had. And that's scary. That's scary because, again, you don't want that affecting your child. You don't want that affecting you as and your life, quite simply. So, especially as a woman. So these are two scary things she's had to deal with. But again, were these preventable? To a certain extent, yeah. But we'll go into that a little later. Let's go.
Okay. She's getting blood done. They checked my hormones and AMH levels to see if it was even possible for me to start IVF.
Such are the constraints of going through this at a later age. They got to check your hormones. They got to check your AMH levels. They got to go through all these certain health checks before you can even have a baby. But that is what is at stake and what must be faced by modern women these days, because their standards are high. They're not willing to settle, so they wait till late. As we explained on many times the Talk Live here, she's waited till 40. She hasn't had sex yet. And so, with all that in mind, she now has to go through all these different health checks, which are expensive. Let's have a quick look at IVF treatment and the cost of IVF treatment. I think we did this on Talk Live here. IVF treatment cost. Just to let you know what we're dealing with here. IVF treatment. Treatment cost. Yes. Let's go here. Again, One round of IVF treatments typically costs approximately $11,000. Let that sink in. This is nothing. She can go it alone because she has the financial wherewithal to do it alone, yes, but to the average woman, no. That is an impossibility. That is an impossibility. $11,000 to fertilize an egg, to jumpstart your biological clock so that you can have a baby. Again, why we have to go through this stage is, well, again, at the expense of modern womanhood. They're not willing to settle. They're not willing to ask for an ordinary man, so therefore they'll go it alone, and this is the cost of it. Now, any of you ladies, any of you gentlemen, want to go through this sort of costly therapy? Probably not. And I'm sure most of the men that was in the prospects of it in her life weren't willing to pay that sort of price, especially for a woman who they haven't had sex with. There's a cost to modern womanhood. There's a cost to dealing with the traditional man, and that is, well, let's call him a modern man in this stage. I think a traditional man would allow her to wait until marriage, but in terms of dealing with a modern man, a test run is mandatory. It is. Yes, yes, it's great to have virgins, but you're 40 years old. What's a man to do about that? Especially with the cost of having a baby, when they can get a younger girl not needing this sort of costly therapy. She gets pregnant, she has a baby, it's free. Oh, within the cost of within the healthcare cost of your family. So Lolo, in doing this alone, has put a cost not only on himself, but on any man to whom she may vet for a relationship, or a family, or marriage, or both. $11,000 to have a child. What man wants that at 40 of his woman? I don't know who. I don't know what. But let's get back to the video. This is what we have to deal with here. Costly therapy, $11,000. She has a detection of an ovarian cyst in checking her health markers out to find out if she can have a kid in the first place. So you have all these hurdles up. Plus, remember, she wants the right guy with the right amount of money, who's a Christian, who will wait until she is good and ready to let go of her virginity, which could be a year or longer. Are you seeing the hurdles here? They're mounting. This is what you have to deal with when you deal with Lolo Jones. Let's go.
Meetings with Dr. Chappelle and the senior. Okay, what's she saying?
Hormone levels are normal. So we're gonna proceed.
Let's look at Lolo again. This is a gorgeous lady. No word of a lie. She is a gorgeous woman, but will a man have the amount of temerity and patience it takes for you to wait until she is good and ready to give you her virginity, her hand in marriage, and a child at $11,000 expense? Plus, you got to meet all of her markers. You got to be tall enough, got to be rich enough, charming enough, black or white enough. What are we to do here? As gorgeous as she has a whole heap of standards and checks and balances in which she has to surpass in order to be with her. And what high-value man wants that? Because that's all she wants, remember. She paying for $11,000. She's guaranteed she will not end up with no brokey. Let's go.
The process of...
All right. Okay. The first shot of many. Okay, so she's starting IVF. I have to do multiple shots, 11 days in a row. It's a big old needle. IVF to be continued. Okay, that's the rest of the video. Let's talk about this real quick. What's particularly sad about this story is that when we generally talk about modern women today, we talk about those that have maybe rode the carousel down into the past and kind of expect a guy to wife all that up going into the future. But Lolo Jones, from my understanding, is actually a virgin. So think about this, being a virgin that's waiting for marriage. She's very attractive. She's in incredible shape because she was an Olympian, but she still can't find a man. Further demonstrating that a woman's accolades do not make her attractive or sought after. She can be a great athlete, but that may not translate into being a great option. But it also makes...
Well said there by Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, MTR. Well said by MTR. Yes, even though she's great looking, she's wonderful to look at. Let's face facts. If you see it on Talk Live, you're gonna listen. This girl's an 8, like a guaranteed 8, like a slam dunk 8. Like you can't get lower than 8. The peanut gallery had something to say in the background there, but yes, she's a guaranteed 8, and yet she has no mate. And what are we to do about that? What are we to do? There's something wrong with this picture. Definitely wrong. And I think, even though she has all these things going for her, her standards are too high, and she's not willing to lower them at any cost. She's 40 years old now. If it was 30, I get it. 35? But 40 now, make her relax. Something has to give here. You got to be able to... The standards that she has for a mate, that's not really discussed, are exorbitant at the very least. Got to be tall enough, rich enough, fast enough, have enough clout, enough status. Because again, this girl's a regular attendee on the at the SP Awards. So, with that in mind, you know, the guy's got to have something around them. But again, is a man of that ilk willing to wait until she's good and ready to give it up, to be a husband, to be a father, to build a family that she may even give only one child to? I don't know. Most men of our, I mean, listen, the market has spoken. Let's face facts here. The market has spoken, and it has said to Lolo, listen, we don't care how good you look. The fact of the matter is, you're not willing to lower your price, you're going to be left out in the market. You're going to be left out on that lot for a long time. There it is. To put it bluntly. If you aren't willing to compromise, lower those standards a bit, and find a man who's willing to do anything and everything for you, guess what? You're going to have it alone, or you're going to be alone. You're going to either have the child alone or be alone. But this is the state of modern women everywhere in the developed Western world. No man's, they're not willing to lower standards. No man's coming for them because, they don't look as good as Lolo, so no man's willing to take that risk with you, so you go it alone. And it's sad. It's sad that there are no compromises to be found here. And there are and if this woman was only willing to negotiate with potential men out there, she would have a child right now. She would have a child, she would have a family. But she's not willing to do it. So, Not willing to do it.
Was an Olympian, but she still can't find a man. Further demonstrating that a woman's accolades do not make her attractive or sought after. She can be...
No matter how, and again, like he said, that's why I was trying to, I got off track there for a little bit, but I'm just regaining my stance here. As attractive as she is, as heralded as she is, with the amount of awards she's won, the fact of the matter is she is who she is. She's a woman. And there are men out there who would suit the bill that she doesn't want. And I say it distinctly for Lolo Jones, men who are in her friend zone will be well and truly willing to give her a baby, but she doesn't want them. She doesn't want them. Doesn't want them. She wants that top of the top man who she won't feel ashamed of when she goes out on the red carpet at the ESPYs. That's what she's looking for. But she's not going to find that now. That time has come and gone. That time was about 10 years ago. That time. At 40? What's the point? Why are we waiting? Why won't you open up your net, your dating net, that much larger to certain men who are willing to be with you under your terms? Why didn't you have this baby sooner? There it is. I said it.
A great athlete, but that may not translate into being a great option. But it also makes you think, how long is her checklist, or what barriers has she been setting up in pursuit of getting married? She grew up in a time period where feminism was at its damn height. So it must be confusing as heck to have all of these accolades and to have this movement pushing how awesome you are, but then a man has yet to sign up for that task. In reality, she's experiencing right now what a lot of modern women are experiencing. It's just that she's brave enough to put it on social media. The timing of the story is...
Again, she's experiencing buyer's remorse. Yeah. She's experiencing buyer's remorse. She should have taken a better deal a long time ago. I'm sure there was a guy in her life that she should have had a baby with long ago. But she put her career in front of things. She put the baby to the back. She said, no, I'm not going to have it now. I'm going to, try to get that world record and try to win that gold medal. I'm going to try this Olympic bobsled team deal, gig, and see where that takes us. And by the time I'm done, my Prince Charming will arrive. Well, as good as she looks, and I'm sure she was told that ad litem by all of her echo chamber friends, saying, oh, you're good enough, oh, you're lovely, oh, you're sweet, oh, you're kind, oh, you're great, you're wonderful, you're great, you're wonderful, you're great. Look at how you look at how you feel. Oh my God, no. This was, you know what? I feel like Lolo Jones is like the Titanic. It just came to me in a brainwave. Lolo Jones is very much like the Titanic. The Titanic was the vessel, the cruise ship, the state-of-the-art ocean liner that could never be sunk. This was that ship that was going to complete its maiden voyage, bar none. They didn't need, if you do your Titanic history, they never even stored enough life jackets on that boat because they were sure that that ship would not sink. Lolo Jones is the Titanic to me. Lolo Jones is the Titanic. And as much as people told her in her head, and she was encapsulated within the feminist modern womanhood echo chamber that told her she could not fail, she did. She could not sink, she did. She would have a family by now, she doesn't. Even to the best of modern womanhood, which Lolo Jones is, by all accounts. Objectively. Speaking objectively here. This is a gorgeous woman. I'll say it to the cows home. This girl is gorgeous. She is flat out good looking as hell. She never thought that she'd be in this position. That's the reason for the tears right there. She never thought she'd be in this position, but she is. There were a lot of tears cried out when the Titanic sank. Because they said they never thought the Titanic would sink. That an iceberg would deep six the vessel that was unsinkable. But she did. Here she is. Trying to find a life preserver in a raft. Trying to get through life. Trying to survive. Literally. Because no woman, especially no modern woman, thinks that this will be you. No modern woman thinks that this could be you. But it was. It well and truly was. And you know what? We warned you. We, as men, have warned you that if you pick, as my mother would always say, if you pick too much, you'll pick shit. Sorry for the swearing. Or maybe there's nothing else to pick. Now, again, it is not too late for Lolo, but really, what could she provide a man right now? It's really tough nowadays. It really is. It's going to be expensive to give a man what he wants, especially the high-value man that she wants. Pretty darn expensive. And that's the reason for the tears. She should have had her head in the game long ago. Remember that guy whose grave you danced upon, women? Kevin Samuels, he was telling you? He was telling you 27 to 35, you got to focus on like a laser at that time. That's when you hit the danger zone. She didn't focus on a laser. She looked past that. She said, nah, I'm too good looking. That man's going to come. Never came. 35, when she was in no man's land. R.I.P. The Godfather. Did she see light then? Maybe, but she didn't really focus like a laser on that. Nah. Let that deadline pass. Now she's 40, now she's crying. Now she realizes, oh my God, my looks aren't saving me right now. No, they're not. Because you're being unrealistic in your choices, in your views, in the way you want to live your life. No man is going to wait until you're 40 and a year past that for you to give him your virginity. No chance. Especially if you're a modern woman, especially if you have certain views. That's the reason why she can't keep a man. That's why she has to do it alone in the first place. There's something within her personality traits that drive men away. You ever thought of that? She's pointing at the world saying, you're doing wrong, you're doing wrong. It's never my fault. Sooner rather than later, accountability is due, and she needs to be accountable for the choices she has made. And they've been bad choices, guys. Point blank period, she's made bad choices here. Maybe not in her career. But in terms of her family planning, hell yeah, she did. And you'll hear the feminists, and you'll hear the, the modern women out there saying, oh, no, she still has time. She's still a gorgeous lady. Da, 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 da. If she sat down with a man when she was 30 years old and he told her brass tacks, she'd have a baby right now. She'd have a family right now. She would be in the clear. She wouldn't have to cry these tears today. Just saying. Let's go.
Crazy, because I recently just talked to my homegirl the other day who said that she went through IVF and decided to have a baby with a guy who was questionably within her life. And she decided to do so because she's almost 40 as well, and her doctors told her that her time is running out. But so many women today are sold the dream that they can have it all, that they can be as independent as they want, that they are exclusively the prize, and not to work on yourself to become more marriageable for men, which many are finding out today is increasing the opportunity for them never to have a family. But their biological drivers, when that wall hits, is telling them that there's something gravely wrong. Now modern women today are going through great lengths to ensure that they can have a family, irrespective of the data of the value of nuclear families. It's just a crazy time that we live in. But listen, at the end of the day, I wish her...
Before he finishes off his sermon, we're not even talking about the fact that when you hit 40 and onwards, the chances of you having a child with any sort of learning disabilities, any sort of behavioral deficiencies, such as Down syndrome, they rise the older you get. Just letting you know. They rise the older you get. So it is a very, very, very dangerous prospect to have a child in your 40s. Very dangerous. If you find any eggs to begin with. So again, she didn't do the work to make herself palatable for a modern man. And the modern man is, let's face facts, the modern men that she wanted weren't going to wait for her virginity. They weren't going to wait. They wanted her that night. That night, yes, we've always stated, it's always been stated, it's always better to have a low body count as a woman, but the fact of the matter is, there's wait and then there's wait too long. She waited too long. She waited too long. Let me see if there's anything in the chat there. We're good. Yeah, but she waited too long, guys. She waited too long. And that is her own fault. It's truly her own fault. Instead of preparing herself for the future with a man, she concentrated on herself way too long. Way too long.
Nothing but the best. I do hope that her procedure goes successful so she can hold off her as long as that she wants, as she looks to find a guy that, would perhaps marry her. And listen, the last thing I want to say about this, I actually mentioned this in a video a few months back, is that I wish that there was a place where more people would see the truth about how their lives are concluding based off of the decisions and the choices that they have made in the past. Because I think what happens is that on social media, everyone pushes, the marriages and the weddings, and everyone's smiling, and they never talk about the truth and reality of the situations. But what we just saw right here at the end of this Lolo Jones clip is the reality of her particular situation. When your checklist is this high and you're not equating your value to what is realistic for you in the dating marketplace today, not based off your accolades, but how much are you seen as a marriageable woman from a guy's perspective. And if you don't realize it soon enough, then this can be your results.
Yes. This could be your result. She didn't do that checks and balance verification of her eligibility for men. She never did it. She never did it. She thought that she was too good looking. She thought that she was too brilliant. She thought that she brought too much to the table to a man. And she could have all this checklist for as long as she wants because she's Lolo Jones. Again, Lolo Jones being the Titanic. She was too fantastic and large to fail. She could not do wrong, but she did. She failed to prepare, and as she's now preparing to fail. To this date, she has not had a child yet, and she may have frozen her eggs waiting for that right guy, but this is her fate now. A woman of her stature, a woman of her competence, a woman of her beauty should have had a baby and family by now, but she did not care. Most of you ladies out there do not care. Until it's too late. Do you know antidepressants, the use of antidepressants goes up the moment you hit 35, ladies? Ladies 40 to 65 are the greatest consumers of antidepressants. Do you know that? Why? Because you didn't plan to have a man in your life. You didn't plan for a family. That ticking, that time bomb that was your womb, you paid no attention to. And now you're here with $11,000 of IVF treatment in order to try to jumpstart what should have come so easily years ago. I'm going to go through one more video here, and this is coming from, again, the man O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again. Yes. Shout out to OJ. And again, he's doing wonderful things in these YouTube streets. Let's just get to it right here quite quickly, and then we'll sum up tonight's show. Because again, tonight is a warning to those who are of that age, who are 30 and up, who are of that age, who think, I'm like the Titanic, I'm too big, and I'm too fast, and I'm too brilliant to fail. Where there's more and more women like you failing every day. Because those husbands are in your DMs, and you didn't audit that checklist of yours to a point where you could build that family and that marriage you wanted. But let's go into this with O'Shea Duke Jackson. Let's go.
Reason she's 40 and a virgin. Now, I want to talk about this particular clip here that I saw from this particular lady on TikTok who mentioned that she was 29 when she decided to, lose her virginity. And the reason why I want to preface that is because this is very important for what we're going to talk about.
Let's stop that right there. You see this lady right here? Where did she decide to stop her virginity? 29. Ladies and gentlemen, she started to stop that virginity, get it out of the way at 29. What is Lolo doing at 40, still a virgin? We used to laugh. I mean, there have been comedies made of 40-year-old virgin. Remember that? But again, it's a man, right? So that's all well and good. When it's a 40-year-old virgin lady, we got to feel sorry for her. Should we feel sorry of Lolo Jones in this instance? Because she should have had the wherewithal at 29 to say, oh, Jesus, maybe I should give up this idea of being a virgin this long. And waiting for that Prince Charming to arrive at any given time because I'm too big to fail. Maybe I should reassess my checklist and say to myself, maybe, just maybe, I should lower my standards just that little bit. Because she did at 29. And she is not as good looking as Lolo Jones. Nowhere near as good. You see, when you have, she's if you see here on Talk Live, she's an average looking lady. But she realized that, listen, being of average looks, I can only have a certain amount of time to use this to my advantage. So guess what? I need to get with it. Now she may have found the man that she wanted and was willing to give up her life for, and she humbled herself. But again, I'm sure that this lady had a much lower checklist than Lolo Jones had. Much lower. And she said, you know what, at 29, I'm going to stop that. I think at 30, if you're a virgin, as a lady, you should stop that. You should stop it. You should get real. And realize that 90% of your eggs are gone at the age of 30. 90% of your eggs, eligible eggs, are gone. IVF treatment, $11,000. Part of that auditing. And realize that you have got to get real with yourself and understand that you are on a ticking time bomb. You are not a star. You're not a Halle Berry. You're not a Lolo Jones. You've got to get real with yourself and say to yourself, like this lady did, hey, 29, time to put my chips in and cash my chips in and say, you know what? If he's there and he's good and he's great to me, virginity over. We got to get on with life. That's what Lolo should have been doing. Did she? No, she didn't.
I was a virgin when I got married, and I was almost 29 years old. This video is not to tell you what to do or to shame you in any way. This is just my personal experience, and I wanted to share it with you. I did not make this decision based on religion or religious beliefs. It was just something that I wanted to do for myself. Throughout my life, I had probably about 90% of my friends that decided not to wait. And when that relationship didn't work out, they were so heartbroken, completely devastated. I had kind of taken from what they had experienced for myself and just went, I really only want to experience this with one person. When I had made this decision, I felt like it was God saying, hey, this is what is best for you in your life experience. I am the type of person that attaches themselves to people very easily. And I just knew, and I know that God knew from the moment that He created me and from throughout my journey and experience with this, it was, you can, but I knew that if it didn't work out, that I would be depressed and devastated. And I didn't want that for myself. And of course it was difficult. There were times when I didn't think Danny and I would make it, because we're humans. I do not regret that decision that Danny and I made together at all. Don't get me wrong, I know that there are people out there that have had horrible experiences with this decision, and so I'm not even saying this is the best for everybody. I'm saying this is what was best for my husband and I when we made this decision together. And like I said, I know that people have not had the best experience with this. There has been a little bit of shift in culture in terms of if you're waiting. I've noticed that people have a lot more shame for waiting versus the opposite. Do what's best for you and your body and your mental and emotional health. I have nothing bad to say about it. My husband and I have a healthy marriage, a baby on the way. I do think that there's a lot of bad aspects about purity culture. It tends to be stemmed in a spirit of religion and shame, and I do not agree with that. But I also don't agree with having the opposite of shaming somebody for waiting. So, if you want to do it, do it. I had the best experience. If you don't, don't.
Now, that lady is Bethany Casaron, who...
Okay. She said it herself. If you're able to do it, do it. But if you're not, not. So there was no shame in Lolo coming to terms and saying, you know what, I'm going to have this baby at a certain time, especially when you hit your 30s, to stop this virginity train then and there. It was no shame in it. Why did she let it continue? Was she that devout? Clearly she was, but now she's crying. Now she's upset. Now she has to go through IVF treatment, needlessly. Then if she saw the man she wanted, she realized that he was the one for her, she didn't have to settle now. Let me just say this. She did not have to settle during this time. She could have had that checklist as she had in her 30s. The only difference is once you find that man, you give it up. If it doesn't work out, yes, you can still have that selection process there, but you are not going to collect a certain amount of bodies. You're not. You're not going to be on a road towards 20 and 30 and 40 and 50. No. That's when you are truly for recreational use only. But she wasn't. And there's nothing wrong with you having a couple of bodies on your resume if they are with the right people with whom you could build a relationship. If you know that you're onto something good, give up the goods. Go ahead. You have waited 30 plus years of your life dedicating yourself to the vow of celibacy, which is commendable. No one will shame you for that. But if you realize that there's a prize right there waiting for you, what are you doing withholding that prize and not taking on that prize if it's going to take you away from the man of your life? The one that you should be wedded to. Why? Why wait? I'm sure she had a few opportunities to do that, but she didn't choose to go through with it. Either career got in the way or her restrictions, morals, checklist got in the way. But they all worked against her in this instance. All of them worked against her. And now she's crying.
Who is on TikTok. And if you can look at her, I mean, she's okay looking, but if you look at looks, or if you take looks into consideration, I would say Lolo Jones is much more attractive than this lady is. So Lolo Jones, in my honest opinion, shouldn't have a problem getting married. But that is what the case has been for Lolo Jones. So much so that she's actually broken down in tears about the fact that she can't get married or have a baby. And I want to cite Mediocre Shorts and Reviews reaction video about a few months ago, talk about this.
We've already gone through this part, so we're going to speed it up a little longer. So here we go.
IVF to become a mom. Now, this was something that she told the Daily Mail, and we all know about that. But she's blaming her lack of sex life as to why she can't have kids with her husband. And she said the virginity is a gift she wanted to give to the husband, but it never happened. And she said this verbatim. Sad music, there's virgins out there. I'm going to let them know it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Harder than training for the Olympics, harder than graduating from college, has been to stay a virgin before marriage.
There's virgins out there. I'm going to let them know it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. She said, harder than training for the Olympics, harder than graduating for college, has been to stay a virgin before marriage. She made life hard on herself. She made life hard on herself. Life didn't have to be that hard. Didn't. As strident in her religious views as she was, she wanted to hold on to the vow of celibacy as long as she could. The fact of the matter is there was going to come a time where she had to give the chips in, especially to the men that she wanted in her life. Because I guess those men, let me say this, the men that she wanted weren't going to wait on her. There are about 3 or 4 ladies like her out there available to them at any beck and call. And you know what? They went with those options than her. I can guarantee you that. The men she deemed as eligible, everybody deemed as eligible. And guess what? There are better deals to be had. Much better deals. Handing them out left and right. And so those men went those better deals. They weren't going to wait for Lolo. They weren't. As good and as pure and as lovely and as celibate as she was, it was not a great selling point. It was not some deal a man was going to take. A man with whom is in demand from many women were going to take. I mean, it's the old saying, money talks. Yeah, but sex talks? Yes, absolutely. If you're offering man sex on the table, guess what he's going to do? He's going to take it. And if you don't offer that, that's a bad bargaining tool. That's a bad bargaining chip. Unless you found a man who's devout, who fit all your check marks, which clearly didn't happen here, guys. So for her to go through all this grief, self-inflicted. Sorry.
This is what she says. She says everything, it kills her dates. Basically guys wanted to drop her and all of that. But see, all these excuses is something that she doesn't want to really discuss. That is the fact that Jones could not meet a man that was quality to get married to. This lady was a virgin until she was 29. We can believe that because we see it all the time. But Lolo Jones is blaming everything. Being a virgin has killed her love life. She's blaming being at a disadvantage for other reasons. And the real thing is, Lolo Jones was not able to prove to the guy that she wanted that she was worth waiting for to get married to. Now she's going...
There it is. That's it in a nutshell. She did not... It wasn't worth it for a man to wait that long for Lolo. Repeat that again. It wasn't worth it to a man of high regard, of high value, to wait on a woman like Lolo. Wasn't worth it to him. Too much headache, too much grief, too many other incentives out there. Why wait for Lolo? As gorgeous as she is, they're not going to wait. Ladies, men of high value are not going to wait. The lady Lolo Jones wants, the men that Lolo Jones wants are not going to wait. They're not going to wait. Not when sex is on the table. Not when sex is a bargaining chip, especially to men. When sex is, and again, finding a religious man these days who is devout and fit all of your markers of manhood that you love in a man is gonna it's like finding a needle in a haystack. No wonder she's going through IVF. No wonder she's going this alone, because the men she wants don't want her on her terms, and the men that do want her on her terms, she doesn't want. That's the long and the short of it. The men she wants on her terms don't want her. As gorgeous as she is, they don't want her. But the men who do want her were not on her terms. She was not willing to lower her standards to find those men so she could start a family. It is the conundrum of modern womanhood. The men with whom you should be raising and starting a family are in your DMs, but you would reject them on sight. You put them in the friend zone without hesitation. And you wonder why you're alone. It's of your own doing. Yes, ladies, you have to be accountable here. Wake up. You got to be accountable here. You got to realize that after a certain amount of time, when you're 40 years old, I don't care if you're Lolo Jones, I don't care if you're Halle Berry, you have to understand that the clock is ticking, and it's not in your favor. And the ball is in the possession of a team that wants you to concede. Will you concede? It's up to you. Be back for part 2 in just a bit. Stay tuned. right here on YouTube. We are still going to go on Talk Live here. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Yes, indeed, we are back. We are live. We're still here. Let me just renew the Instagram feed here. Discard, and we're ready to go. Boom, boom. We're nearly finished the show here, guys. It's gonna be a shorter hour here this time around because again, not much to say about this. Well, not much more to say about this subject. We are back. We are live. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk live on IG, YouTube, sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. More fashions to come. Spring summer line out now. Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Yes, we're dealing with the issue of Lolo Jones and how the 40-year-old modern virgin is a self-inflicted result. Yes, Lolo Jones didn't have to be here. She didn't have to do here. Look at her. You can see her on Talk Live. Look at her. She has 8 out of 10 looks. Fresh out of the shower, 8 out of 10. No man within their right mind of a certain persuasion, of course. They have to. She has to float your boat. But they ain't going to kick her out of bed. They ain't going to kick her out of bed. No chance. Not this one. But the fact of the matter is, the men she wants aren't waiting for her to drop that no-go zone, especially at 40 years old. I think we've come. I think it's come. It has come to a time where Lolo had to come to face brass tacks. She, as a woman, being a 40-year-old virgin, especially with her looks, it's. I'm sorry to say, it's a total waste. It's a total waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. She should have at least a few men vetting. That certainly, especially in these modern times, you should have had at least a few ladies, a few bodies. I know. It's quite crass to say, but it's true. She had a few bodies on her, a few men vetting her, and she may have been in the family way by now. If she had lowered her standards, she had lowered her requirements, maybe then she would have found a man of her dreams. But she didn't do it. She did not do it. Now we're here wondering. And now, and this is a lesson to you ladies. You're not Lolo Jones. You don't look like her. You do not look like Lolo Jones. 95 to 7% of the population aren't as gorgeous as Lolo Jones is. You're not Lolo Jones. And if you think you are, and you think you're a 10, you're lying. And men will tell that to your face. You're not Lolo. Lolo can walk into Vogue right now and get a cover shot. Without question, without fail. No problem. You're not Lolo. And much as you think up here that you're Lolo, you're not Lolo. You're not Lolo Jones. Yet, you think that you can hold on to that virginity for as long as you want. I'm telling you no. I'm telling Lolo no. Her being a 40-year-old virgin, a total waste of her time and energy. She should have been in the family way by now. Point blank, period. Requirements too high, and her virginity was paramount. That never changed, unfortunately. So we're left here thinking to ourselves, what can be done about this? What can we learn from this? I'll let her have the last say, and then we'll get into what can we learn from this.
Going to be a single mom. So I guess that's really going to kill all of that, right? You're going to be a virgin as you're pregnant. And that's the situation here. Now she says she's gardening, she's doing peaceful things, she's taking everything day by day, all of that. She's pretty much given up. But the reality is that Lolo Jones wasn't competitive enough in the dating scene. Lolo Jones focused much of her time to being an extremely talented athlete in two sports, bobsledding and hurdles. That's where her focus was. Her focus was not being somebody's wife. And she can't really blame her virginity for that fact. Number one, you have access to men normal women just would not. You're black and you're white, so in the black community, you're light-skinned. You have access to other guys who are athletes. You're a superstar in some regard. People know you. You're a college graduate. All of these things are to your advantage, yet you can't find anybody. And it's not because guys are not willing to wait for you. You just could not find the right guy. So why couldn't you find the right guy? And a lot of times, brothers got to really understand, we know that there are some brothers out there who are Christians, devout Christians, who believe in sex before marriage. Is it because that maybe Lolo Jones didn't find those particular guys attractive? It has to be something wrong here. There are plenty of men, I feel, that would have waited for a lady like Lolo Jones. But maybe it's how she treats her partners. It's maybe that she doesn't know how to date. It's maybe she doesn't know how to do all these things right. And so because of that, she lost an opportunity, and now she's blaming virginity for it. When in reality, Lolo Jones needs to be blaming herself. But guys, what do you think?
Indeed. Thank you very much for that. O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Please subscribe to him. He's doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets. Let's get back to the main photo, and let's sum up this night's show here. Let's go here. Let's get back to the full cam. Here's the thing, ladies. And there's a lesson to be learned by Lolo Jones. There's a thing called compromise. A thing called self-improvement. There's a thing called being... Sorry, let me go put this back here. There we go. There's a thing called self-improvement. There's a thing called... taking stock of yourself. And realizing that, indeed, you have to better yourself or to check yourself to make yourself a better individual, a better person. I don't think Lolo Jones did that. I really don't think she did that. And that's why I wanted to do this show, is that just because you're ladies, just because you're in charge of the second sorry. Another one, man. Jesus, this Canada Dry. Excuse me. Just because you're not Lolo Jones doesn't mean, well, that means even more that you have to take accountability. You have to focus like a laser on your prospects and your deals. You have to give better. You have to put a better plan, put a better option on the table than for others. Lolo Jones had that opportunity. She had the looks better than most. She was in the 85th to 90th percentile in terms of looks. She never took that to her advantage. She never offered that much more incentives than the other woman. And that means by the time she hits 30, you have to ease up on that whole virginity thing. You do. I'm sorry to play devil's advocate. I'm sorry, Lord. But you know that virginity deal pretty much is only for a time. You and your devout Christian views are only for a time. Hell, I'm Roman Catholic. But I realized that if I didn't get in the game early enough, I wouldn't be considered a good prospect for women myself, because what are women looking for from men are experience. They're looking for experienced men who can take control in certain parameters, that being the bedroom. If I was fumbling at 40, certain ladies would, take a shine to me, but most won't. Say, what are you doing? I'd be written off at first, if not second look. In the first or second round. Simple as. What makes you ladies so different? Because you have looks that you can do what you want. You can wait as long as you want. I mean, it's up to you. Well, we're telling you, learn from Lolo. Learn from her. She held on way too long. And it served her to her disadvantage. Now she's crying. Now she has to freeze her eggs. Now she has to go through that process of vetting a man who is willing to be a father to her children at 40. Because at 40, remember, chances of her having a large family are gone. You may get one out of her. One. Most men of high value want more than one child. Is she going to give it to him? No. So that's another strike against her. So we're left here with Lolo Jones, a 40-year modern virgin. And I really, really do hope that she finds a Prince Charming. I really hope that she finds her way in life and she gets everything she wants in life. But it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher. It could have been much easier if she had done this earlier. If she had done away with her celibate attitude and her celibate stance a lot earlier than she is now. Because she wouldn't be crying now. She'd have a family by now. And she just let her engine out for a few test drives. Sad to say, but true. Ladies, don't wait until you're 35 and 40 to realize, oh, maybe I should, and still hold on to your virginity until a man comes around. Because that man may never come. You're not Lolo. You're you. Lolo is a world-class athlete with world-class looks. You're you. I repeat, Lolo's a world-class athlete with world-class looks. You are you. Do not do what Lolo has done. For all that is holy, don't do what Lolo has done. Unless you have a distinct alternative of a man who will be there for you in marriage in due course. Especially if you're in your 30s. You gotta take that into account. You gotta change your ways in terms of dating habits. You gotta change your ways in terms of your attitude. You gotta change your way in terms of your virginal stance. Unless you really want to be celibate for the rest of your life, what's the point? I don't think God wanted you to wait that long. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. And as long as you are not a hoe, I don't think there ever anything wrong with you test driving yourself out there. Helps with the experience. And better still, helps you find a man. The man of your dreams. We just hope Lolo will do the same in future, but she's got a long race to run before that happens. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We are done for tonight. We will be back this week, definitely. We have a few topics to tackle. Adam 22 controversy, definitely. Andrew Tate being in the new headline. Jonathan Majors having his charges dropped, and yet nobody's here to say anything about that. And other ideas that are out there within my brain. There are more concepts to come. I may have a show tomorrow. Probably not, but definitely Thursday we are back. And I thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We may have even a Friday show. I'm thinking I may have a Friday show this week. But I'll leave that to be decided. But I thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. More than likely, Thursday we'll return. I thank you very much for joining me. Sponsored by DunTalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. More clips, more shorts to come as we move forward. I know I haven't got around to it, but this summer has been heavy and a lot busier than I thought. And yeah, I got to take time to do that. But again, I send my condolences out to the Salmon family again. And yeah, I hope their family gets through this terrible time. And thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you soon. And if you talk, walk the walk. Have a good night from Toronto. And we're back here on Talk Talk Live. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll be back on probably Thursday night with another show. A few shows, as we have already said, that's still in the pipeline, still need to be covered. And I do hope you join me then, but thank you very much for joining me tonight. Sponsored by DunTalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Again, more TikTok, more views to come, and we got to promote this. We're gonna be promoting it. Believe me. Give me time. Thank you very much for your patience, and look forward to speaking to you soon.